couple of weeks ago, a subscriber sent me his driving test report sheet. Unfortunately, he didn't pass, so I thought this might be a good opportunity to go through a driving test report sheet, to go through the faults, to look at the areas where this person failed, and to give you some tips and advice so that the same mistakes hopefully won't happen to you. If you want to learn to drive, if you want to improve your driving skills and help prepare for the test, then please subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification where you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. So let's start by having a look at the driving test report sheet generally first. So here it is. First of all, we can see that there's grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3 marks. Now grade 1 is the green, they're just minor and they don't really mean too much. Grade 2 is more significant faults but not serious. Too many of those is a bad thing. 9 or more is a fail, and if you get too many grade 2s in the one under the 1 area, that's also a fail. Grade 3 is the red box. They are serious and they result in an automatic fail. So on a positive note, there's no grade 3s and it's just really an accumulation of grade 2s that caused this person to fail. So we can see there on position on the straight, position turning right, hazards, signals and so on, there a lot of grade 2 faults. So let's have a look at some of these faults now, starting with position. So position then. Let's start with position on the straight, because that was one of the faults that we saw there. If we focus on the yellow car here, for example, so the driver should be left of centre, reasonably close to the left on a good straight road. It's possible that the driver in the test maybe came a bit too central or even a bit too right like that, when he should have been more left of centre. It's also possible that he could have been doing a bit of weaving like that, maybe in and out a little bit like that, which doesn't look great. Generally you'd want to avoid weaving unless you need to avoid an obstruction or something like that. And speaking of which, sometimes it's good to move out slightly from the left if you need to avoid a pothole or a drain or something like that. So there's some of the possibilities that could have caused the tester to give the person a mark on their position on the straight. Next is position turning right. So if we focus on the yellow car again, a lot of people when they're turning right, let's just say for example the yellow car wants to go in here, they may end up cutting the corner like that, like where the red car is coming out, or possibly they may end up overshooting it like that and doing a little bit of a swan neck, which doesn't look great, and you'll definitely lose marks on position there. So if you're turning right, you check your mirrors, indicate, gradually come over like that, so you're kind of in the middle, right middle of your lane, going up so that the front of your car here is more or less in line with that centre white line there, and then turning calmly and smoothly in like that, so you're not cutting corners or you're not doing any swan necks. The blue car here, for example, is over the middle white line here, so that will be a poor position turning right, coming from a minor road out onto a major road. Just like if the blue car was over there and wanted to turn right, I mean in that case he's too far over in the middle, he's nearly on the left there. So if he's coming out there, the blue car should be like that if the blue car wants to proceed and turn right. So there are just some of the potential areas that people could go wrong on position turning right. I've made a detailed video on position turning right. You'll see a link on screen there, and I'll leave a link in the description box as well, and that goes into a lot more detail about how to turn right properly and how to avoid these faults on your driving test. Next we have reaction to hazards. There's 2 marks under that. That could be anything. More than likely it's to do with how the person deals with an obstruction or a problem such as a line of parked cars. In this situation, anticipation is key. Planning ahead, slowing down gradually, and if you do need to move out, checking the mirrors indicating, and moving out gradually, while also being aware of the possibility of narrow streets up ahead, or the possibility of oncoming cars. I have made a detailed video on how to deal with hazards. You'll see a link on top, and I'll also leave a link in the description. The next topic is signals. We noticed there one mark, signals moving off. It's so important to indicate right when you're moving off, as you'll see me doing here. If you forget to signal, you're not communicating properly with other road users, and it is going to lead to a fault. I have a nice easy way to remember all that. It's 1, 2, 3. First gear is 1, 2 is indicator because you've got 2 indicators, and 3 is 3 mirrors and the blind spot because 3 equates to 3 mirrors. So don't forget to signal whenever you're moving off from a parked position. Misleading signals then. So let's say, for example, the yellow car intends on going straight up here. If the yellow car indicates left, possibly maybe it's been left on from a previous left turn, the blue car then could think that the yellow car is turning left, obviously, and the blue car may pull out, even though the blue car is on the minor road. He shouldn't do that. But that's an idea of misleading signals. So make sure that you don't give any misleading signals, that you don't indicate too early, especially where there could be 2 junctions close together and you're taking the junction further down. So you don't want to give any wrong signals to other people. So plan ahead, think ahead, and don't forget to switch your indicator off once you've come through or once you're finished with the junction. Progress. We've seen some marks there for progress on the straight, progress turning right and turning left. Now that means that the driver in the driving test was too slow or too indecisive when driving. So as you can see here, I'm on a good straight road here. So what I'm doing is I'm giving it some juice, getting up the gears and getting up to the speed limit, whatever it is, 50 or 60. It's so important that whether you're going on the straight, turning left or turning right, that you don't wait too long. Don't creep out unnecessarily long if you can see that there's a clear gap. Be decisive, be confident. That's the best way of approaching it. Don't drive too slow or make any special effort to be extra cautious, because it's not going to end well. I've made, quite recently there, I've made a video on progress. You can check it out there in the link, and there'll also be a link in the description as well. There's also some marks here on the report sheet to do with clutch and gears. So 1 under clutch and 2 under gears. Let's start with clutch. It could be a wide variety of things. For example, perhaps the candidate coasted, which is overusing the clutch and keeping the clutch in too long. Maybe the driver came off the clutch a little bit too quick. Perhaps that caused the car to jump or even to stall when moving off. So it could be a lot of things, but it's usually better just to be slower coming off the clutch, especially in the lower gears like first and second. Because if you're anyway quick or hasty, the car can jump and jerk, and it makes for an uncomfortable journey. So as with all the other topics, I have made a detailed video on the vehicle controls. I'll leave a link in the description. And just getting on to the other one on vehicle controls there, which was gears. It is so important to be aware of what gear you're in and to be in the correct gear for whatever you're doing, whether it's a turn or a speed bump or whatever. So you have to make sure you take off in first gear. Make sure you get down to second gear in time for junctions and roundabouts. If it's a good straight road, you should get up the gears, up to third and up to fourth. And maybe even fifth, but it would be unusual to reach fifth gear in a driving test. If you accidentally go to the wrong gear, the car could stall or jump. If you forget to go to first gear, as I said, it could be a problem as well. So I've made a video on gears as well. You'll see a link on top, as well as links in the description. Check that out for a more detailed description and analysis of how you should manage your gears when driving. We also noticed the mark there on right of way turning right. So according to the tester, the driving test candidate didn't give way properly when turning right. So for example, always be aware of these yield triangles here and also yield signs, which means that you don't just give way to the right, but you give way to everybody on the main road and anybody doing less work than you. So if you take this example here, the red car looks like he's going to turn right. The blue car is going left. Now, the blue car should go first there, not the red car, because the blue car is doing less work. So he's just crossing one line, whereas the red car is crossing two lines. Again, I've made a video on that, which I'll leave a link to in the description, about right of way at crossroads. And then in the case of the yellow car here, the yellow car is on the main road. So the the red car should not pull out while the yellow car is making progress like this, because the main road has priority there. So that's just two examples of giving right of way when turning right. There's lots of other potential areas where that could have caught the person out, but just be aware of your yield triangles, your broken white lines, stop lines, and if you're not sure, you're better off just giving way to the other traffic. There was also a mark on the reverse around the corner under competency. So that probably means that, if we just take here, so the yellow car here is, for example, reversing around the corner like that. So it more than likely means that competency, that is, that as the person was reversing around the corner, he could have hit the curb here. Maybe he turned the wheel too soon or too fast. Maybe he hit the curb here, just there. Perhaps he didn't straighten up quick enough. Maybe he was okay, but he just finished a little bit too far away from the curb. Or perhaps he turned a bit late and ended up being very wide on the corner. It's hard to know because I wasn't there and I wasn't speaking to the person or the tester. So that's just a general idea of where competency comes in on the test, usually from hitting the curb or from being a little bit wide or something like that. I've made a video on reversing around the corner, so if you check that out, you'll see exactly what I mean by knowing when to turn, proper observation, and of course giving way to cars like this blue car here that could be coming from behind. So you can check that out there on my YouTube channel, how to reverse around corner step by step. Just because the person wasn't successful this time doesn't mean it's the end of the journey. This is just part of the journey. It's important to learn from these mistakes, try and improve, and come back stronger the next time. If you have unsuccessfully attempted a driving test and you have a report sheet, please email it to me and I can make a video on that sheet going through some of the faults and giving you some tips and advice to help avoid them next time. You'll see my email address on screen there, and I'll leave a link in the description as well. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time when I'll be making another driving lesson video. Bye for now.